The band hasn't shown up
Hare
yet.
Krishna Maharaj, obeisances to you. Jai, Jai. Oh,
Hare Krishna.
let me make sure my volume is up. There we go. Do you have an assembly of kirtaniyas there?
No, the band hasn't arrived yet.
All right, we will carry on. Original sound. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajakacharya Ashtotar Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Brindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, and welcome everyone for Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Friday, November 8th, 2024 in New York, and tonight we're starting with Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 7th chapter, text number 42. And because I had mentioned to Radhesha Prabhu at the end of the last class, if he wanted to, he could read this verse. If he's present, Maharaj, he can. Otherwise, I did figure out.
He's not there, but I can do it.
Okay.
He's just shown up. Okay, let's hear the verse.
4742?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
I did figure out a meter for it.
Ah,
Well then I'm expendable. Let's hear it, Kendra Prabhu. We'd love to hear you chant.
Hardly expendable, Prabhu, but I sent you a note in this regard. In any case,
Yeah, let's hear you chant, Prabhu. We're eager to hear you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 7, text number 42. This is the demigod speaking at the arena of sacrifice where Lord Narayan appeared. Deva Uchuhu Pura Kapapaye Svapritam Udari Kritya Vikritam Tameva Dyastasmin Salila Uragendra Dishayane Puman Sheshe Siddhaya Riddhivin Siddhagyatma Padavi Sa eva dhyakshnurya paticharasi brityan avasina. The demigod said, Dear Lord, formerly, when there was a devastation, you conserved all the different energies of material manifestation. At that time, all the inhabitants of the higher planets, represented by such liberated souls as Sanaka, were meditating on you by philosophical speculation. You are therefore the original person, and you rest in the water of devastation on the bed of the Shesha snake. Today, you are visible to us, who are all your servants. Please give us protection. The devastation indicated in this verse is the partial devastation of the lower planets within the universe when Lord Brahma goes to sleep. The higher planetary systems, beginning with Maharloka, Janaloka, and Tapaloka, are not inundated at the time of this devastation. The Lord is the creator, as indicated in this verse, because the energies of creation are manifested through his body, and after annihilation, he conserves all the energy within his abdomen. Another significant point in this verse is that the demigod said, We are all your servants, Brityan, give us your protection. The demigods depend on the protection of Vishnu. They are not independent. Bhagavad Gita, therefore, condemns the worship of demigods because there is no need of it, and clearly states that only those who have lost their sense go asking favors of the demigods. Generally, if anyone has material desires to be fulfilled, he can ask Vishnu instead of going to the demigods. Those who worship demigods are not very intelligent. Besides that, the demigods say, We are your eternal servants. So those who are servants or devotees of the Lord are not very much concerned with fruitive activities, the performance of prescribed yajnas, or mental speculation. They simply serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead sincerely, with love and faith, performing everything with that loving service, and the Lord gives such devotees direct protection. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Simply surrender unto me, and I will give you protection from all the reactions of sinful activities. This material world is so created that one has to act sinfully, knowingly or unknowingly. And unless his life is dedicated to Vishnu, he has to suffer all the reactions of sinful activities. But one who surrenders and dedicates his life for the service of the Lord has direct protection from the Lord. He has no fear of suffering from sinful activities, nor does he desire, willingly or unwillingly, to do anything which is sinful. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here the demigods are speaking in turn. All of the attendees at this sacrifice have spoken according to their realization, their ecstatic realization at the appearance of the Lord in that sacrifice. And now the demigods are speaking in this way to the Lord. Their realization at this time, that they're expressing anyway, is that they're thinking of how the Lord conserves all the different energies of material manifestation and what's going on at the time of that the devastation. Liberated souls such as Sanaka, these are the higher planets, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, the ones who do not become inundated when Brahma goes to sleep. There are different levels of devastations of the universe. At that particular one, the higher planetary systems remain intact, and the personalities there, such as the Kumaras, continue with their activities of, here it said, philosophical speculation. And they're praising the Lord here, saying, you're the original person. You rest in the water of devastation on the bed of the Shesha snake. So their concept of the Lord, the demigods are inhabitants of the material universe, and they're meditating on the Lord, more or less, it appears, in the form of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, from whose abdomen Lord Brahma comes. The lotus of the universal planetary systems sprouts, and all the different strata of planets and the inhabitants come from that. And this is their ecstasy upon the darshan of Lord Vishnu. And Prabhupada spends some time in the purport, pointing out that they're seeking the Lord's protection. And this is a wise thing to do, because he brings out the point that just being in the material universe means you're sinful somehow or other. You've turned away from Krishna. There's something not right with your mentality. And the tendency is natural for that not rightness to flower and expand, unless one does what they're suggesting one do here, is to surrender to the Lord and pray for his protection. And the protection is from the reaction to sinful activities and from the inclination to perform those activities knowingly. He brings out the point that knowingly or unknowingly, one performs sinful activities, because that's the nature of the material world. The conditioning is such that every conditioned being is, as Krishna Bakir Mukha Bhoga Vanchakari, he's turned his face from the Lord, and he's on his own, basically, and just following a trail of selfish desires, and which lead to selfish actions, which lead to reactions over and over and over again, binding him continually in this cycle of rebirth, of karma, karmic reactions. And but here he says, one who surrenders and dedicates his life for the service of the Lord has direct protection from the Lord, which is very, very encouraging. He has no fear of suffering from sinful activities, nor does he desire willingly or unwillingly to do anything which is sinful. There's a prayer that is chanted by those who serve in temples as pujaris. Agyana, that whether knowingly or unknowingly, I have performed so many sinful activities. Please forgive all those things. So we were reading in a previous verse, but in the same connection, that it's prudent and wise for anyone in this material universe to constantly be seeking, be asking to be excused by the Lord, because just by the nature of this world, one acts sinfully. Maharaj, please, if you have something to say, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Kendra Prabhu. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tina Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatani. Is our volume all right? Okay.
Yes.
Two things. One is that in the purport, right before speaking about protection, Prabhupada emphasizes that devotion, the path of devotional service is just above fruitive activities, yagyas, mental speculation. That's all what it is, but devotional service is just on a higher platform than all that. Sarvadharman Pratyaja Mamekam. If one engages in devotional service, one has transcended those lower engagements. Also, Siddhai Hridi Brahmishita Adhyatma Padavi, the Siddhas, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka, like the four Kumaras, are Brahmishita Adhyatma Padavi. They're deep in meditation. Brahmishyaita Dasheshena. Brahmisha means considering, thinking about something, contemplating. Brahmishita. Krishna tells Arjuna, I've told you the whole Bhagavad Gita, now think about it and decide what you're going to do. So Brahmishita means meditation, deep thought. Adhyatma Padavi, Hridi. So the Kumars are deeply involved in thought within the heart, meditation within the heart on the personality of Godhead. Adhyatma Padavi, they're on the path of spiritual realization, philosophical realization. It's not just, I think this, I think that, but it's deep thought guided by higher authority. And by that, what is that? Dhyana vastata tadgatina manasa pashanti yam yogina. The yogis, by such deep meditation, can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the heart. This is different from just mental speculation where, well, it could be this, could be that, I think this, I think that. This is deep philosophical thought. But now, sa eva adya akshnopati. He was understood by the Kumaras and others by deep philosophical thought. But now, adya, he's right there in front of our eyes, akshnopati. So this is extraordinary that Lord Vishnu himself, the object of meditation of great sages, the greatest sages, is now right there in the sacrificial arena. By his mercy, he's appeared before their eyes. So now, please accept us as your servants and give us protection. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so I have something in the chat, a question. Hare Krishna, what is keeping the demigods in the material world if they have such a nice service attitude as we see here?
The material attachments, jnana karmati, they're thinking we're demigods. There's a sense of enjoyment, there's a sense of entitlement, there's a sense of, what's the word? Capability, and false ego is still there. So they could have directed themselves completely toward the devotional service of the Lord, but no, they had some desire, let me be in charge of something big. All right, be in charge of something big. You're still devotees, they're not materialists, but they're held back by that attachment. It's mentioned in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam second canto that the transcendentalists at the time of leaving this body can go directly back to Godhead, or if they have some desire, they can do some tourism in the universe. They can visit the higher planets. So if they have that desire, then they have to stay around longer. All right, let me see the heavenly planets. Let me see planets of the sages. Let me spend time there. But so that holds them back.
Thank you, Maharaj. Also, we have a question from Vijay Krishna Prabhu. So, when the Lord was visible, the demigods asked for protection. What should we ask when the Lord is not visible? Should we ask for protection, or should we ask for the Lord to become visible to us? Please. Thank you, and Hare Krishna.
Well, there is a prayer, please be visible. Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatune. The devotee may pray to the Lord to be visible, or the devotee may pray to the Lord for protection, or the devotee may pray to them, just let me serve you. And that's there in the verse, that please protect your servants. Not that, well, let me go on with my nonsense and you please protect me, but let me be engaged in service and you please protect me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Saraswati Mataji, please go ahead.
Pranams, Param Pujya Maharaj, and all the Vaishnavas. Maharaj, I don't want to diverge too much from the verse that we are reading, but I'm a little bit confused on some of the statements that were made following the Goloka chart. And they gave evidence, from Shastra. One of the things that was stated from the Shastra they quoted was Lagu Bhagavamrita. They quoted the verse and everything like that. And they were talking about in the Vaikuntha planets, how they have these eternal associates. And it was in fact said they're Vishnu Tattva. And they have names like Ganesh and Indra and so-called principal demigods that we know of in the material world. Of course, they did make it quite clear that the demigods here are Jiva Tattva, who receive power from these eternal associates of Narayan that are located in the Vaikuntha planets. So my first question is, I'm trying to understand about this going back to Godhead by worshipping, Krishna and his expansions, the Vishnu Tattvas. So if you're worshipping an eternal associate of Krishna and his plenary expansions, is that could you say that bhakti is enough to get you entry into the spiritual world? And if it is, then if someone's worshipping the demigods here by the same names, we know it's not the same people. Of course, these are Jiva Tattvas who have been given, who are empowered. But if someone, let's say, is worshipping Indra, but and they're worshipping using the name Indra, and we know that the original Indra is existing in the Vaikuntha planets and is an eternal associate of Krishna, then one may argue, well, okay, they're not worshipping that eternal associate, but they're chanting the name Indra or whatever. So shouldn't that also enable them, qualify them to go back to the spiritual world, even though unknowingly they're chanting the name of an eternal associate, but it's a demigod in the material world? I hope that will make sense, Maharaj.
Yeah, something is there. They're chanting the name of the Lord. And of course, Ajamil attained perfection by chanting total desperation the holy name of the Lord, even though it was he was thinking of his son. But in general, just mentioning the name of the Lord is not doesn't place one on the path of advanced devotional service. Here in America, there's a popular truck called Ram or Ram. So just because someone talks about the truck, that doesn't mean he's on the path of advanced devotional service. Some Agyata Sukriti is definitely there. He's chanted the holy name of the Lord, but that's not that doesn't mean he's situated on the standard path of devotional service. Some years ago, long time ago, here in India, Narasingha Rao was running for office, and there was a poster of promoting his election. And all right, they're chanting Narasingha, and even the poster said Paratranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chaduskritam, and had some picture of Lord Nrsingadev or something like that. But making the connection between Narasingha Rao and the personality of Godhead. But it's not that by working for his re-election, you're situating yourself on the path of advanced devotional service. So similarly, worshiping the demigods, all right, in Vaikuntha there may be someone with a similar name, but that doesn't mean, or the same name, that doesn't mean that I'm situated properly in the scientific process of devotional service. Although there is some hope because I've chanted the holy name of the Lord, knowingly or unknowingly. But that doesn't put me on the same platform as the person who's seriously following the standard path of devotional service. Hope that helps.
We have a comment from Praveen Krishna Prabhu from Maharaj's book, Chanting in the Process.
Yes, Prabhupada said we have to. Otherwise, Prabhupada gave the example that you're cooking and you have the fire and you have the pot, but the pot's 2 feet above the fire. So some heat will be there, but your rice is going to take a long time to cook.
Saraswati Mataji says, thank you. Mukesh Rajpurohit Prabhu says, are demigods happy when someone tries to become a pure devotee?
Oh yes, that's their great happiness. Everyone becomes happy, except the demons. That's mentioned. The Dhruva Maharaj had taken he'd seen the heavenly planets. No, this is not Dhruva Maharaj. Yeah, Dhruva Maharaj also. He when he ascended to the heavenly planets, not to Vaikuntha, all the demigods and so on were seeing his plane going, and they're all cheering. They're all celebrating his success. Similarly in Srimad Bhagavatam, Gopkumar.
Thank you, Maharaj. Are there any other comments or questions before we move on? Yes, Saraswati Mata, please go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Maharaj for confirmation that there are different types of devastations. There's the complete annihilation, where all the planets are merged back into Mahavishnu. And then there's two partial ones, and I'm just trying to understand from these notes. One of them is the one after Brahma's 12 hours. And in that one, all the planets, I think Earth and below are annihilated. And then there's the other one, which is after 1 day of Brahma. And I think in that one, the Swargalok and the top 4 planets are not. So I'm a little bit confused. In these partial devastations, Lord Brahma has to create again. So you know how, like, when he's first appearing from Garbhadakshay Vishnu, and he, after meditating, he is reminded how to be the secondary creator. He's in effect an engineer. He's not the architect of the creation of the material universe. So during these partial devastations, does he have to do the same type of meditations again, or does he sort of automatically remember how to recreate those the lower planets? Hare Krishna.
I don't have a reference on that. I don't recall reading. I could give a logical answer. I think all of us could give the same logical answer, but I don't have a Shastric reference for you, so I won't say anything about it.
I had heard that after 1 day of Brahma, when he takes rest, there is no partial dissolution, and then after 50 years of Brahma's life, there is another partial dissolution.
We'd really have to go back and look at second and third cantos and do our homework and see when these partial dissolutions take place. There's a fair amount of devastation that happens at the end of Kali Yuga. Then, periodically there's various kinds of devastation. Certainly at the end of Brahma's day, there's a major period of destruction. But again, we have to look carefully and see, okay, what's happening and then what's happening next. And it's been a while. Okay.
Saraswati Mataji says, it's so confusing for me.
Well, don't hang around for the devastation after devastation. In the spiritual world, there's no such thing. Better to go there and be unconfused. Otherwise, we can do our homework, look back in Bhagavatam. It would be in second and third canto, and say, okay, when are these various devastations, and to what extent do they go? I'm not confused about it. I'm just ignorant. It's been a while since I've read these things.
Hare Krishna. So, Panchatattva Prabhu, are you able to read our text 43?
I get an easier meter. Gandharva Uchu Asangshaste Deva Marichudayate Asangshaste Deva Marichudayate. I thought it was easier. 43. Asangshaste Deva Marichudayate Ete Ramindradya Devagana Rudra Parogaha Kridabandam Vishwamidam Yasya Vibhuman Tasmai Nityam Nathan Namaste Karavama. Translation: The Gandharvas said, "Dear Lord, all the demigods, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Indra, and Marichi, and the great sages, are all only differentiated parts and parcels of your body. You are the Supreme Almighty Great. The whole creation is just like a plaything for you. We always accept you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we offer our respectful obeisances unto you." Purport. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There may be many gods, from Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra, and Chandra, down to the rulers of the lower planetary systems, the presidents, ministers, chairmen, and kings. In fact, anyone can think that he's God. That is the false, puffed-up conviction of material life. Actually, Vishnu is the Supreme Lord, but there is even one above Vishnu. For Vishnu is also the plenary portion of a part of Krishna. In this verse, this is referred to by the word asangsha, which refers to part and parcel of a part and parcel. There are similar verses in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which indicate that the Supreme Lord's parts and parcels again expand into other parts and parcels. As described in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many manifestations of Vishnu and many manifestations of living entities. Vishnu manifestations are called svangsa, partial manifestations, and the living entities are called vibhinangsa. The demigods like Brahma and Indra have been promoted to such exalted positions by pious activities and austerities. But actually, Vishnu, or Krishna, is the master of everyone. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Ekale Ishvara Krishna, Ara Sababhritya. This means that Krishna alone is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all others, even the Vishnu Tattva, and certainly the living entities, are his servitors. Baladev is the immediate expansion of Krishna. He also engages in the service of Krishna, and certainly the ordinary living entities are serving. Everyone is created constitutionally for serving Krishna. Here, the Gandharvas acknowledge that although the demigods may represent themselves as the supreme, actually they are not supreme. Real supremacy belongs to Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam is the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is the only Supreme Lord. Worship of Krishna alone, therefore, includes worship of all the parts and parcels, just as watering the root of a tree also waters all the branches, twigs, leaves, and flowers. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhaya Gurudasa Jayadvaita Swami Niti Namine Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Maha. So the Gandharvas here are citing their actual position as differentiated parts and parcels, and recognizing that this differentiation is there even for all of the demigods, including Shiva, Brahma, Indra, Marichi, the great sages. These terms here are mentioned: svangsa, vibhinangsa. There's svangsa, like Baladev. Baladev is a svangsa, expansion of Krishna. There's svangsa kala, those that come from Baladev, further Vishnu, tattva expansions. And there are the vibhinangsa, the separated parts and parcels, the jivas. Prabhupada talks about how different demigods, such as Brahma and Indra, they've gotten their positions as demigods by promotion. They are jivas, at least Brahma is most of the time a jiva, has been promoted, and their promotion is in due course, is a due result of pious activities and austerities. But Krishna doesn't need promotion. He doesn't need to engage in some sort of pious activities or austerities to occupy a post of the Supreme. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead originally and eternally, and all others are subordinate to him. The Gandharvas and the following Vidyadharas, they're celestial beings. They're living on the planets of the demigods. They're described as celestial singers. They manifest this quality of Krishna, this the beautiful singing. All of these different abilities and qualities and potencies all proceed from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whether one is a demigod or a human being, or as Srila Prabhupada points out here, whether one is the president, king, prime minister, whatever his position is in the middle or lower planets, his authority is limited. It's not unlimited, and he is but a small part of a larger whole. Sometimes the living entities are described as the branches of the tree, and Krishna is the root. He's the root and the trunk of the tree, and everyone else is branched off in different ways. Prabhupada gives the analogy that when you water the root of the tree, all of the branches and twigs and leaves and so forth are nourished and satisfied. So that is where devotees place their faith and their devotion in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by so doing, all of these various rulers in graded realms are satisfied. And as was previously mentioned, they are very happy to see someone achieve the supreme success of going back home, back to Godhead in pure devotional service. Hare Krishna. Guru Maharaj, would you like to say something?
No, I think you covered the territory well. Hare Krishna.
We have a question from Saraswati Mataji. I heard that those conditional jivas that perfectly execute the rules, regulations of Varna ashram for 100 lives qualify to become Brahma and or become resident of the top 4 planets. I seem to recall hearing that when Krishna descends, all the other Vishnu Tattva avatars merge in him, and the killing of demons is done by Krishna's expansions. Is that correct?
Yes, all of this is right. There's a verse to the effect that after 100 lifetimes of perfectly following the principles of Varnashram, one becomes qualified to become Brahma. It's mentioned, Prabhupada mentions it, it appears in Brihad Bhagavatam several times. And then yes, when Krishna is there, all the other Vishnu avatars, they don't exactly have to merge in him, they're already in him. And so the killing of the demons is performed by the Vishnu portion. Yes, that's stated.
A question from Vijay Krishna Prabhu. If the whole creation is just a plaything for Krishna, is it accurate to say that we, conditioned living entities, are not different from toys for the Lord to play? In other words, is the Lord playing games with us? What games? Please, thank you, and Hare Krishna.
Yes, the material creation is like a toy for the Lord. It means it's insignificant. But it doesn't mean that he's just arbitrarily having fun with the universe by spinning out different planets and, ooh, let's try this, let's try that, like a kid. That's not the way the Shastra describes Krishna's creation. But when we say it's a plaything, it means insignificant. The big cosmic manifestation that the demigods are competing to be in charge of is just a plaything for Krishna. That's the idea. We hear in 10th canto that who was it? The king who got the Shamantaka jewel? Satyajit, the father of Satyabhama. Satyajit, it's such a big deal to get this jewel, and finally he was killed for it. But when Jambavan got it, he just gave it to his son to play with. It wasn't very important. So for Krishna, this whole cosmic manifestation, each universe is resting on the hood of Sheshanag, so like a mustard seed. So it's just not a big deal. That's the main point indicated here. As far as playing games with the living entities, no, that's also not indicated. There's a line, what is it, like wanton boy, like flies to wanton boys are we to the gods, they kill us for their sport. So it may seem that way, that we're just played with, but things are more sophisticated. There are laws in place governing the entire cosmic manifestation, and even the demigods are not free to just sport around with the living entities. They have rules to follow.
Tulsi Priya, please go ahead.
You're muted, Tulsi Priya. Oh, Tulsi Priya, you're muted on Zoom.
No, muted.
Still muted.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Muted, I'm sorry.
There you are.
All that reading and I was muted. So inexhaustible time, stronger than the strong, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Like a herdsman moving his animals along, he moves mortal creatures as his pastime. I'm not sure where that quote is from exactly, or who's being quoted, but I've heard relatively senior Vaishnava, not a member of ISKCON, say that part of Krishna's Leela is to manifest himself to save the fallen souls. So for him to save the fallen souls, there have to be fallen souls, and that's why there are fallen souls in the material world. It's, the whole anadi karma issue and everything. So I don't know if that is related to what you're saying about Krishna not treating, the jivas as playthings or not, or is there a Leela that Krishna wants to rescue the fallen souls, therefore there are fallen souls?
I haven't heard that logic.
I'm not hearing you, Maharaj. Wait, I'm sorry, okay.
My goodness. I haven't heard that logic before, that Krishna enjoys lifting fallen souls, and so he has to make some souls fallen for that purpose, except in limited instances, Jai and Vijay and so on. There is a large discussion concerning in the Vedanta Sutra passage, which deals with this question of why there are conditioned souls, and different acharyas offer different explanations. The Srila Baladev Bijabhushan says that Krishna is just like a person dancing, and when he's dancing, when a person dances, there may be his cloth is spinning about, and maybe some ornaments fall off his body. So Krishna is just enjoying his pastimes, and in the course of things, the conditioned souls manifest themselves. And it's a very extensive topic. Ramanujacharya comments on it, all the major acharyas comment on that section.
Did she say she didn't know where the? Did you say you don't know where the quote is from? The
Well,
herdsman.
this verse is in quotation marks, so I don't remember who is speaking it at this time. You know, somebody is speaking, and I don't know who it is because I just remember the quote, but I don't remember the context.
Oh.
It's let's see, it's
10:51.
10th canto, 10:51:19.
Good.
Go ahead and read text 44.
Okay, I thought there was someone else was going to speak. Are you done speaking, Maharaj?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so I'll read the next one. Let me get back to that page. Okay, and it's 53. I'm sorry, 44.
44.
Yeah, lost my place. Okay. Vidyadhara uchu twan Tvanmayayartam abhipadya kalevaresmin kritva mamahamiti durmatir utpatai swai Kshiptopya sad vishayalala sa atma moham yusmat katamrita nishevaka dasyet. Translation: The Vidyadhara said, "Dear Lord, this human form of body is meant for attaining the highest perfectional objective, but impelled by your external energy, the living entity misidentifies himself with his body and with the material energy, and therefore, influenced by Maya, he wants to become happy by material enjoyment. He is misled and always attracted by temporary, illusory happiness. But your transcendental activities are so powerful that if one engages in hearing and chanting such topics, he can be delivered from illusion." Purport: The human form of life is called Ardhada because the body can very nicely help the embodied soul to achieve the highest perfection. Prahlad Maharaj said that even though temporary, the body can give us the highest perfectional achievement. In the process of evolution from the lower to the higher grade of living, the human form of life is a great boon. But Maya is so strong that in spite of achieving this great boon of the human form of life, we are influenced by temporary material happiness, and we forget our goal of life. We are attracted by things which will cease to exist. Beginning of such attraction is the temporary body. In this horrible condition of life, there is only one way of liberation: to engage in the activities of transcendental chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The words Yusmat Katamrita Nishevaka mean those who engage in relishing the nectar of the topics of your lordship. There are two narrative books which especially concern the words and activities of Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is the instruction given by Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the book containing topics exclusively about Krishna and his devotees. These two books are the special nectar of the words of Krishna. For those who engage in the preaching of these two Vedic literatures, it is very easy to get out of the illusory conditional life imposed upon us by Maya. The illusion is that the conditioned soul does not try to understand his spiritual identity. He is more interested in his external body, which is only a flash and which will be finished as soon as the time is designated. The whole atmosphere will change when the living entity has to transmigrate from one body to another. Under the spell of Maya, he will again be satisfied in a different atmosphere. This spell of Maya is called Avaranatmika Shakti, because it is so strong that the living entity is satisfied in any abominable condition. Even if he is born as a worm living within the intestine or abdomen in the midst of urine and stool, still he is satisfied. This is the covering influence of Maya. But the human form of life is a chance to understand, and if one misses this opportunity, he is most unfortunate. The way to get out of illusory Maya is to engage in the topics of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya advocated a process whereby everyone may remain in his present position without change, but simply hear from the proper authoritative sources about Krishna. Lord Chaitanya advised everyone to spread the word of Krishna. He advised, all of you become spiritual masters. Your duty is simply to talk to whomever you meet of Krishna or of the instructions given by Krishna. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is operating for this purpose. We do not ask anyone to first change his position and then come to us. Instead, we invite everyone to come with us and simply chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because we know that if one simply chants and hears the topics of Krishna, one's life will change. He will see a new light and his life will be successful. Om Tat Sat. There's nothing to add to that as far as I'm concerned, except I always like to hear Prabhupada talk about identity, because that is so prominent nowadays in Western culture. You know, people I identify as this and I identify as that. And it's all extensions of, the bodily consciousness, except it extends to the mind. At least the body, if we say, okay, I'm in a human body, or I'm in a dog body, or I'm in a male body, or I'm in an Indian body, at least that's concrete. But now we have identifications based simply on mental concoction, which isn't concrete. It's just a speculation. It's just a imagination, whatever you want to call it. So Prabhupada's making very clear here that our identity is spiritual, and to become fully aware of our actual identity, we have to hear about Krishna, because Krishna is the source of our existence. And so if we really want to know who we are, we have to know who Krishna is first, and we have to hear about him, and then we'll understand our position, and we won't even bother worrying about our identity, because we'll just be serving Krishna, and that service is what gives concreteness, spiritual concreteness to our identity. What we do for Krishna is who we are. The gopis have their identity because of how they love Krishna and how they choose to serve Krishna. A cow has its identity because how it serves Krishna. So in the same way, if we serve Krishna gradually, our actual identities will manifest, and we don't have to come up with different concoctions of identities. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Maharaj, anything from your side?
As Tulsi Priya said, Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Maharaj. From your side, some kirtan then?
Yeah, now the gang's all here.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Bhagavad Paramahංsa Paripurājaka Stotara Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamana Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hey, Haribol. Thank you, Maharaj, and thank you to the Mayapur Kripan Sangha, and thank you everyone for being here, for your questions and listening and participating. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you all.